And we are ready to go. So again, welcome everybody. My name is Gary Wagner, 800 Biz Ninja Marketing and the Ninja Marketing Dojo. For those of you that this may be your first time on our webinar. Just give you a quick background about me. I've been in the digital marketing space for 20 years. Um, I started with website design back in early 2000. We just celebrated 20 years in business this past February. So I've watched this whole thing grow and expand and become not just something that you might be nice to have, but it's something essential to have. So the brand aspects of what you can do with website, with email, with social media has, as you all know, has become a um, critical component of your brand and your marketing efforts. So as a result, that's why I've been putting on these webinars and trying to do these for years. I started teaching classes on social media actually back in 2011 with what I call my Tucson Social Media Lab at the time. So I've been doing this for 9 years, just teaching social media as well as website design. So a lot of fun for me. It's an ever-changing field and you never get bored because just when you think you got it all figured out, something changes and something else you got to do. So, but let's talk about Google My Business, because that to me, as I said earlier, may not be the most sexy topic to talk about, but the thing about it is probably one of the most critical. Whenever Brenda and I are meeting with realtors, I'm typically, the first thing I do is I check their Facebook page, and several of you know that because you've seen me do it with you. But I check your Facebook page and make sure that the link on your personal goes to a Facebook page of yours, not a Facebook created, or not a one that's created by your company or your brokerage. And then the second thing I do is check your Google My Business listing, and we talk about that because it is, while Facebook is important to have, if someone finds your name, let's say as an example, I'm in a couple of different networking groups. And so I have realtors in each of those groups. And so what happens if somebody says, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, who do you recommend? I may say, here are 3 business cards. Talk to these 3 people, see who's the best fit for you. Because I trust all 3 of them. Well, so the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go back and they're going to get on Google and they're going to Google your name and what's going to come up. So one of the things that Google My Business will do is be that business card that comes up when somebody searches for you. So we're going to talk about how to do that. I've got a quick little poll to put in here. Let me launch this. So I'm going to launch this real quick. Just a couple of questions. Do you have a Google My Business page, map listing page already? And are you actively trying to get reviews, and where are you trying to get those from? So if you'll take a minute or so and answer that, that'd be great. Give me some ideas on who I'm talking to. And in the meantime, I will launch my screen here. All right, so share that. And once you've voted, if you want to click the X at the top of the poll, it'll go out, it'll move out of the way. So once you've voted, you can move that out. Google My Business. It used to be part of Google Hangouts, Google Plus, Google something else before all of that. I don't remember, but it's changed about 3 or 4 different times over the last few years. But it is an important piece of your puzzle, because this is what it looks like. If somebody Googles your name, this is what it looks like. Here's my name that I just did a search for. And this information you see right here in this box on the left-hand side is, you're seeing my screen. So you would not see that as a browser. If you Google my name, you won't see that. You'll see what starts down below, but you will see this card on the right. And this is the Google My Business listing. So looking at the results here on the poll, it looks like we've got about 50-50 on having a Google map listing page, and some don't. Looks like 60% of you aren't worrying about reviews. So hopefully you'll change that thought by the time I'm done. Um, so there we go. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and move that out of the way. Okay. So this is what it looks like. So if you Google my name, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see my photo. You're going to see my business location, which is not my business location, but it happens to be the one I use. I use a postnet rather than my home address. And so that's what it's showing. But you're also going to see I have 5-star, 26 reviews. So if nothing else, if you see nothing else when you see that, you're going to go, well, hey, I'm not the only person. Then if there are 26 other people that say he does a great job, then that should be social proof enough for me to contact him to see if he's somebody I want to do business with. You'll see the address, which if you're working out of your house, this won't show, and that's fine. I'll show you how to do that when we get to it. You'll see more business information down below, and we'll look at what that is actually looking at. And then the reviews are down there as well. So there's a link to my website from here, and there's directions, which don't mean anything for driving directions to my place, because you're not going to find me there. But so that's what happens when somebody Googles your name. If you don't see this card when somebody Googles your name, you don't have a Google My Business card place. You either have one and haven't verified it, or you haven't created one yet. So why do you need it? Well, it showcases your business. It's that social proof that you need that validates your brand, and especially the reviews. The reviews are priceless. Having reviews is so critical to your business, because that's what we look at if we don't know who you are. Now, obviously, word of mouth advertising is great, but if somebody wants to do a little research on that and on you and see who you are and what you're doing, then that's where they're going to start, is on Google. Yeah, they can see reviews on Zillow, or yes, they can see reviews on Realtor.com or Trulia or some of those sites. But if they're Googling your name, if they're just searching your name, they're not going to worry about looking at your listing on how many reviews you have on Zillow. So here's how you get started. You want to go to google.com/business, and there you'll enter your name, you'll type your business name. Now your business name can be, in the case of realtors, it should be your name dash realtor, real estate agent, or whatever it might be, however you want to designate it. I would not include the brokerage in there, because if you change that, that's going to be something major that Google has to change, and they're going to then review everything. And it may take a while to get a change done if they'll approve it. So I strongly recommend just your personal name and real estate agent in there, or realtor, however you want to designate it. Actually what happens to the first page you come to is a big page that says sign in or manage. And so when you get to manage, this is where if you don't have a page, this is where you come. If you do have a page, I'll show you how to get to that in a few minutes. So what's your business name? Again, you'll type it here, hit next. You're going to go then to what category is your business in. And in that case, yours is going to be real estate agent or real estate agency. I think those are the two real estate choices. Once you start typing in realtor, it will populate it, and it has to be a Google category, not yours, not something you create. So you're going to have to use Google's designated category. And I think there's only one for realtor other than agency. So you type the category in there, and then the next thing you're going to do is, do you want to add a location customers can visit, like a store or an office? Typically, you're going to say no. You've got to give it an address. So you're going to have to use your home address. But when you check no, it does not make that public. It will put a map pinpoint in the general, probably about in the middle of your zip code, but it does not show the address. You can, and some people do, use their office, brokerage office location that can potentially create problems, because if there are, 10 other agents in there that do the same thing, then it's going to say, wait a minute, how is this yours and not, and how is it all 10 of you's place of business? So it could cause Google, and I do know of a case where it blocked or would not, it suspended a listing for a real estate agent because they used the brokerage rather than their home address. So keep that in mind. Can the term realtor be used in the business name? Well, I don't know why it couldn't be. I mean, I've seen it with people with realtor in there. Just so long as it's your name followed by, and it would be really how you do business. So I guess, Deanna, that would be the answer to that. Where do you serve your customers? So in this particular case, people tend to, no, you cannot do a PO box. It needs to be a physical address, Ludi. So it's going to have to be either your home address, or it's going to have to be, you can try to do like a UPS store, rent a box there, but Google does not take a PO box. So.
Gary, real quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we switched off of the name, but on the name, is it good to do it like your Facebook page, or does not matter?
I would try to mirror, thanks, Brenda. I would try to mirror your branding everywhere. So if you're doing your Facebook page as Gary Wagnon Realtor, or Gary Wagnon Real Estate Agent, I would try to do that for everything. That brand consistency is what you're trying to achieve. And so if you have that, utilize that same brand everywhere, then that would be my suggestion. So when you serve, where you serve your customers, you could put in Tucson and that cover everybody, or Pima County and that cover everything. But that's not the way I usually recommend it. What I normally recommend that you do is that you list all of the different communities, because if I'm in Oro Valley and you say you work in Pima County or Tucson, and I type in Realtor Oro Valley, you may not come up as high as somebody that lists that they work in Oro Valley. So there are about 8 or 10 that I use. Tucson obviously is one. And when you start typing it in this, where it says Manhattan, New York, when you start typing in there, it will populate out with the exact, the way it's listed in Google. So once it starts populating, just click on it. Catalina Foothills is recognized as a community in Google, as is Tanque Verde. Oro Valley, Marana, obviously are recognized. Casas Adobes is also recognized. I don't know why that area would be, but it is. Green Valley, Sahuarita, Vail. So you want all of those in if you work in those areas. If you don't want to work in the Vail area, Sahuarita area, then don't put it in there. But put in all of the specifics. Saddlebrook is another one if you want to do the Saddlebrook area. Now there are communities as well that have listings, and we're seeing more and more of those, but I don't usually recommend listing every one of those, because that could be, you could have 100 different areas and they overlap. And I just don't think that's, Google's going to look at it that way and go, all right, really? So now if you do specialize in a community, that would be the one to use. So let's say, and I haven't checked, see if Dove Mountain, for example, or Rancho Vistoso, I'm sure has a listing for that. If you work in that area, then you might want to use that community, but don't put in every community around there, because again, you're watering down the, Google's listing. So once you have those in, then the next stop is you're going to put in your phone number, and you're going to put in your web address if you have a web address. If you don't, you'd click in, I don't need a website. So, okay. And you do have a free one that will show you in a few minutes. It's nothing you can do anything with other than whatever shows up on your listing. So it's not a lot of value, but it is there. So once you put all of that in, then you're going to have to verify your listing. And you're going to verify the listing one of two ways, and you don't have a choice. In some cases, they'll let you verify via phone call. And if that's the case, that's great because it's a lot easier. They'll call you, they'll give you an automated voice, they'll give you a 6-digit code. You punch that code in, you're verified and done. If it doesn't give you the option to for phone verification, it's going to send you a postcard, and you'll actually get a postcard in the mail in about 7 to 10 days. So um, for Karen, you talking about for how many can I put in for this, the service areas? Typically 8 to 10 is usually what I do. I use Tucson, I use Oro Valley, Marana. I put in Catalina Foothills, Tanque Verde, Vail, Sahuarita, Saddlebrook, um, maybe one or two others, but typically 8 to 10 is what I use. Let's see here. I think we had another question in the.
You have it in the chat, Gary.
Let me pull up the chat here.
Sorry. If we can ask in the Q&A, it's a lot easier for Gary to go in one place.
Yeah, I'll just hold on. I'll pull it up here.
Thank
when
you.
I switch screens, I lose the chat box. Okay. Let's see here. So you had a service set it up. Okay. Here's the problem with a service, and I'll talk about it at the end, but you got to be very, very careful with those because they tend to take over your listing. You want them to I would want them to give it control back to me is what I would want. I would want them to hand the control back over to you so that you can do everything you need to in there. They need to make you primary owner, and they can do that. And I'll show you how to have it done in here as we go through this. But the problem with a lot of services are they don't want to turn loose of that, and they control it. And I've even seen, not saying that's the way it would be and not saying this would happen, but I have seen it with other businesses that the service actually, if you're wants you to pay them on a regular basis, which you shouldn't, never pay somebody on an ongoing basis to manage this for you because there is no management of it. You put it in once, and there are a few things you're going to do with regularity, but none of this should be on an ongoing basis. So if they're charging you, that's wrong. Number two is I've seen them when somebody stopped paying them or said, I want to discontinue my services. I've seen them actually change the phone number and sell that to some other business. Bad news. And the folks that call you on Google are not Google, by the way. Those people are never Google. So that's just my recommendation. But if you need help with it, let me know. I'll be happy to help you, Jeanette, and see if we can figure out that for you. Okay, so once you're verified, then what'll happen is from there, the way you will get to, I should have mentioned it too in the beginning, when you start putting yourself in, you want to make sure you have, if you have a Gmail address, you want to be signed into your Gmail account. That will link it all together and make it so much easier for you to find and manage. So before you start building that listing, sign into your Gmail first or your Google account. And then, if you don't have Gmail, I'd suggest you set it up, if nothing else, just to manage things like this and manage YouTube and stuff. So once you sign in to Gmail, you're going to see the 9 dots in the upper right-hand corner. Below, when you click that, you're going to see the My Business listing, the little tent-looking building here. Click that, and that will take you to your Google listing. So I'm going to shift over to a live screen here, and where we can see that. So from there, you should, from here, this is where you'll go normally to manage your site. You'll notice I've got several listings here. It's because I manage multiple accounts. Like you were saying, Jeanette, I manage the accounts for these guys, but I have them make me a manager of the site, not an owner. So I set it up through their account, and then so they maintain ownership. So you'll see right here, here's my listing. It says here's a couple that require verification, still waiting. But shows mine is verified. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my listing. When you come to this page, this is kind of an informational page. It's going to give you performance statistics, tell you you should advertise and spend money with Google. Can't imagine them shilling themselves for you, but there they do. My latest posts, some reviews, and then some other stuff here, which most of this is just kind of informational, but where you really want to start is on your info tab. So starting on your info tab, you're going to see, does this automatically put you in Elixir? I'm not sure what Elixir is, so no, it doesn't do anything but Google. So guess I'm not, I'll have to look that up. I don't know what that one is. So your info tab is going to be right here. So this is going to have business name. Your categories are here, which you put in. You can always try to put in more categories, but like I said, Realtor, I think is the only one that's there available for real estate. Your address, when you put in your address, if you want to take it out, you can. If you click the pencil, it'll let you remove the address. And it won't show it, but it's going to hide it anyway if you, it's going to hide it if you chose to not display. So it doesn't really matter. The service areas, this is where you put those in. If you want to update those, you can. In my case, I think I have 10 service areas listed. Hours, a lot of realtors put always open, 24/7, open 24/7. And that's okay. Google says it does not like that. Google says that if you should not do open 24/7. Okay, I'll answer that just a second. Google says you should not be 24/7 unless you have the phone answered 24/7. Your choice. It's a kind of a slippery slope. Google doesn't like it, but I don't know that they've ever had any problems with that. Or done anything with that, but they are getting more strict on the way people list things. So, and to answer the question, Alexa, no, this does not, that's an Amazon product, and there's a whole different process. And I'm looking for some info, or putting together some information on how do you get into the voice searches. So I hope to have that ready shortly that I can share with you guys as well. But no, that's an Amazon product, so doesn't have anything to do with Google. They do have an assistant, and they will search if you utilize the Google Assistant, the Cortana or whatever it is. Then, and if you've got their device, then it's going to pull more likely from the Google My Business listings. So, okay. So your choice on the hours, but just know that it can create issues if something happens. You can put special holiday hours if you want. Phone number obviously is here. This piece right here is really important. This right here is your short name. The short name is a small piece of code that you can use to put on your website, to put on your email marketing signature, to make it easy for people to find this page and write you a review. So writing a review, making it easy for people to write a review is so critical right now. And so you want to create a short name that is as close to your name as possible. So, again, if you're using your name dash realtor, real estate agent, whatever you use, that's what you probably want to use for your short name as well. If you don't use the short name, you've got to copy this big, long URL at the top of the page and then try to work that in. And and you can't give that to anybody because they could never type it in without screwing it up, and just a big headache. So the short name is really cool. It's really helped. That's a recent addition in the last 6 to 8 months. Your website address is here. Appointment links. You can have this set up and linked to an appointment setter within the Google Calendars. Uh, that can be okay. I tend to see the logistics side of that can be a little tricky because mainly because if you've got a paper calendar and then you've got an Apple calendar and then you got a Facebook appointments and whatever, you just stand the risk of somebody making an appointment and you not see it. So that's why I never use this. And even though I use only one, I only use the Google calendars, but I'd rather make sure that I see the appointments or keep it all in one place. Services is the next thing, and we're going to go over that here in a minute in more detail, because this is probably the next most important thing on the on your information tab. Highlights. This is more for brick and mortar businesses that say, do you have free Wi-Fi? Do you have a parking lot? Do you have some? For most of us, the highlights don't really affect us. The next section is your info, or is your bio section, or your info section. And this is an important piece because you have 750 characters to use here. And you want to be able to showcase what you do. If you'll look at mine, I used 744 of those 750 characters. But creating that is important because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create as you've heard me, those of you that might have been on the Instagram webinar, you heard me talk about, it's not about you. This is about what you do for your customer, your client. It's about generating a trust factor in you. So you want to tell them what it is that you offer. A lot of people put in there, I'm a real estate agent with, 20 years in real estate, and I've worked for, these companies, and I like helping people buy and sell. Blah, 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 all about me. Who cares? Short and sweet. I mean, that's really the case. We don't want to, we're not interested in it being all about you. I'm interested in what can you do for me? So if you look at mine, and it may be hard to read, but the first paragraph, do you need traffic to your website? Would you like to increase your search engine ranking? How about converting more browsers into buyers? Let 800 Biz Ninja Marketing help. And then I go on and talk about search engine optimization, website design, social media down below that. And it all is about the person reading it. Because what I want is I want somebody to read that and go, yeah, I want to increase my search engine ranking. Well, shoot, yeah, I want more browsers. Yeah, I need more traffic. So they want to feel like you're talking to them. And that's why this needs to be so important. You need to have this message as if you were talking to the new prospect. So take some time. This should be crafted very, very with much care and very cautiously, because it's your marketing piece. So make sure you use that. The date you open, that's fine. When you started business or however, and then photos. We'll talk about photos here in a few minutes. So that's the info tab. The next section then is services. So we want to talk about services. So services are, again, going back to that analogy at the beginning when I talked about if I give my card, give three cards to somebody that's looking for a realtor, then what happens if they come here and they say, well, okay, this person says they're a realtor and they help you buy and sell homes, and that's the service you provide. And I, on the other hand, say in mine, I say, well, my services are, number one, I help home buyers. And number two, I help home sellers. And number three, I help with relocation and investment. And so my services are going to be defined by by the major things that I offer. And that's why I say those are usually the four that I do for realtors. And then the fifth one I actually do, I suggest for realtors, is free home evaluation. So that my services, free of home evaluation, buyer services, seller services, relocation, investments if you work with investment property. Okay, so you got those in there. So what do you say about that? Well, you want to tell people everything that you do. So you want to say, for example, you want to, for a home seller. So you might say, I help you, sell your home and get the most out of it in the shortest amount of time. And that's what you and 5,990 other realtors say, because there's a few of them that maybe do it right. But let's say I come along and in mine, I say, home buyer, home seller, I help home sellers. I do a complete evaluation of the neighborhood. I give you comps from all around the area. I market your listing to the neighborhood. I do a postcard mailer. I put up a sign. I'm going to do open houses. I'm going to do live videos. I'm going to advise you through offers. I'm going to walk you through what happens on home inspections. And I'm going to be with you every step of the way. So you list this long laundry list of everything you offer, because you cannot, repeat that, assume that somebody reading this knows what you do. Because if they read yours and say, I help you sell your home, and they read mine that goes, look at all the things he does, I'm going with him. You want to be the one that they go, I'm going with you because look at all the stuff you're going to do for me. Same way with home sellers. I'm selling home buyers. Same, you want to walk them through the process. So maybe you specialize in first-time home buyers. So maybe you do a category for first-time home buyers and list everything you do for them. So that's the services category. Take some time, look at that, and spend a little bit of time and energy putting that list together because it's important. And you can use that same list on your Facebook page as well, because you have services on Facebook. So you can use that on your Facebook business page as well. And that's typically what I recommend. Do it once and then copy and paste it over. So, but services are important. They do give you a little website. There's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it doesn't show up anywhere. It really just takes the stuff you posted on your different places and puts it in there for you. But you can use it. And I figure, what the heck, if it tells Google a little bit more about what I do, let them generate it. It's fine. The next thing that you want to pay attention to is the post category. And posts are like blog articles. So if you're doing a blog, this is a great place to also post those blog articles. Now, unlike a blog, most of the posts in Google, in your Google My Business page, have a lifespan of about a week. So once you post, it goes away after about 7 days. An offer, if you do an offer, a special. So let's say you're doing a special on a marketing service that you're offering, and you put that at a time limit. When that offer expires, then the post will stay up until the offer expires. Same way with an event. If you want to create an event for an open house, even if it's a virtual open house, then that would show up in here, and it will go off as soon as the event's over. So another great place to showcase, and it won't take you but a few minutes to showcase open houses, showcase anything that's happening, any updates, what's new in your business, what's new in your industry. But right now, the one thing that everybody should have on their page is the COVID-19 update, because it stays there. It's been up. Mine's been posted now for since April 2nd, and it stays there until Google decides this pandemic is over with. And so it's a great way to tell people, hey, I'm still in business. I'm still working. I'm still showing houses. I'm still listing houses. Business as usual. We'll do with, as we, we observe the directives, but we're doing business as usual. So you should have that, because that's at the top of your page. And the great thing about this is the more updates, events, what's new, offers that you add, the more Google says, hey, these guys are active. These guys put stuff in here all the time. Maybe I need to bump them up in the map listing some. Oh, look, they've added new pictures. I'm going to bump them up in the map listing some more. Oh, look, they've got events going on right and left. This is one way that you can boost yourself up in the map listings in Google and improve that visibility, so that if somebody searches not just your name, but Realtor Tucson or Realtor Oro Valley, and they see you show up, they may have a better chance of seeing you show up on the first 10, maybe even the first 3 listings of that. So keep that in mind, because that can be a huge boost, and a little bit of work goes a long way with this. If you're doing blog articles, shoot, just copy your blog article and paste it over in here. Why not? There's no reason you can't. So, and you'll see here, here's listings I've had before, and they're still there. They just don't display anymore. But I've, showcased new businesses I've worked with. I've showcased workshops I've done. So put your information in there, and keep Google updated. With photos and videos, photos are a great thing to add, because again, why not showcase a new listing? Put in the video, put in the pictures of a new listing that you've got. Put a listing of a, just sold, a picture or a graphic with it just sold in there. Again, the more you put in there, the more Google likes it. Google also lets you put video. But the only problem with video is it has to be a very specific size, and it has to be no more than 30 seconds in length. And so you would have to create if you created a video, you would need to do it specifically for Google, and, it'd be 30 seconds in length. So, but again, good to have. Okay, let's talk about reviews, because to me, reviews are the critical component of what Google can do for you. The more reviews you get, the better Google likes it. It's all about social proof. And so if you're getting reviews from people that you do business with, that helps really boost what Google is looking at. How do you get more reviews? Well, one thing you want to do is ask for reviews. As business people, we look at it and we go, okay, I understand the importance of getting reviews, but our average client does not think that way. Our average clients think, hey, if they do a good job, if Brenda and, Sam do a great job, or Paige does a great job, thanks. I'll tell a couple of people, you got to talk to Pioneer. They're great. If they do a bad job, they're going to tell everybody in the world. They're going to write a blog post about it. They're going to put a billboard up on Oracle. They're going to put they're going to put something out on every social media post they can. They're going to write everything they can about it when you don't do a good job, because that's the way we are. And it makes no sense, and you can't please everybody, but you want to make sure that you get a good representation, a good assortment of positive reviews in case you ever do get a bad review. Because, and I'll tell you the story, I had a client, it's been 3 or 4 years back, that had, he was a mobile mechanic. And so somebody called him at 9 o'clock one night and said, hey, I need you to come out and work on my car. Faith, just a second, I'll answer that one. Can you come out and work on my car? And he said, well, sure, I'll be glad to come out first thing in the morning. And the guy said, no, I need you to come out there tonight. He said, well, it's 9 o'clock. By the time I get, ready and get everything together, 10 o'clock, it'll be dark. And, I can't get parts. There's, the best thing I can do is in the morning, I'll be out there first thing. The guy went on Google and wrote him a bad review. Don't contact this guy if you don't want him to come out. He didn't want to come out. Well, that was the only review he had. And so it looked bad. He's got a 1-star review, and that's all he had. So we jumped on it, and immediately within about 2 weeks, we had him 15 positive reviews. And now the 1 review is buried. And so it's kind of like, well, if we got 15 people say it's good and 1 says it's bad, that 1 must be a flake. So the other story I'll tell you is I have another client that's they're insurance brokers. They do Medicare insurance. And so they had a 5-star 4.9 or something like that star rating. And all of a sudden we saw it drop to like 4 or 3 or something like that, probably 4. And so I got looking at it, and I found a review that was a 3-star review. At least it was 3-star, not 5, not 1. But it said, the review, honestly, the review said, I don't know much about this business. I went in there to meet with my accountant, but it looks like a nice place. And he gave him a 3-star review. He didn't even do business with him, and he gave him a 3-star review. And that's absolutely ludicrous. But there are people out there that are, and a lot of that I attribute to the Google Guide, which is a program that Google has offered. And it's a thing where, if you write so many reviews, you get a little, star on your page or something stupid like that. It's kind of like, taking a kid to the doctor and they get a sticker for being for getting a shot. Well, that's basically what it is. It's worth nothing, but people are go crazy for that. I mean, I could literally pull up in the parking lot of Pioneer Title and it would ask me, do I want to write a review for Pioneer Title? Didn't ask if I'd been and walked in the door, just knew I stopped somewhere close by. So it's kind of ridiculous, but some people will do that. So so how do you handle it if somebody writes a bad review? You can dispute it, but it's nearly impossible to get removed. Google will look at it eventually, but the best thing you can do is, number one, answer it. You want to answer every review, good or bad. Answer every review. You think about this. In the case of you're at a social function or a business function. You're at a business function, and somebody walks up, to and you're in a group, and they go, "Wow, you did a fantastic job on my website. I can't thank you enough. The traffic is outstanding, and you were so easy to work with, and all that kind of stuff." And I stand there and do nothing and just look. That's number one. That's awkward. But number two, it's rude. Thank you. Gosh, thank you for that. I appreciate you, appreciate the kind words. Well, you want to do the exact same thing on your reviews. When somebody posts a review, you want to go in and say, thanks. It was a pleasure to work with you too. I answer every review, good or bad. It's just good manners. It leaves a good taste in the other person's mouth, because they get a response or they get an email that says you responded. So it's very important. And if you've got enough good ones, if there is a bad review and if it's totally bogus, you can dispute it, but you always want to answer those reviews in a positive, non-adversarial light. I have had some that say, where somebody said, or I had one that's somewhere in here that said, it was in some foreign language. And I said, thank you for, trying to review, but who are you and when did I ever do business with you? So, keep that in mind. You can dispute, but it's difficult. But your best bet is to bury those. And people look at it and they go, okay, well, look at all these good ones and we had a bad one. I can't, there's got to be something wrong with that. Okay, so Jeanette's asking, what are when we're asking for reviews from clients, what are the top 1 to 3 we should ask for? I'm going to ask for Google first. I know Zillow, I know Realtor, I know Trulia, all those are important to you guys, but I'm going to ask for Google first, because I want the Google review carries so much more weight. It pushes me up higher in Google's ranking. It's social proof from somebody Googling my name that I'm trustworthy. And then you choose whichever of the others that you want to use, whether it be Realtor, Trulia, or Zillow or whatever. See where you're getting the most traffic. You should have some analytics there that you can see, and then use those as well. But typically you're going to ask people, and one of the things I do is I have it on my website, for example. On the bottom of my website, you'll see there's a link to my Google review right there. And then I also have a link to Better Business Bureau if somebody wants to review me there, our Facebook, our Yelp. So I've got I've got the sites that I want people to review me right here because I don't want to have to tell them to go hunt it. You do not, if you want them to, if you say, hey, go to, go to Google and, just Google my name and write me a review, the chances are of that happening are slim to none. But if you say, go to my website, at the very bottom, you see the link, click the link, and there you go. It'll populate up, and all you got to do is write a review. Now, one thing to remember with Google reviews, you must be a Google user to write a review. You have to have a Gmail account or a Google AdWords account or something along that lines. But you must be a registered Google user. I know that's a pain, but it's important because we used to get anonymous reviewer, and that was where we got into problems with, people writing bogus or inaccurate reviews. So keep that in mind, but I know it's a pain, but it is for the best, the best of keeping, the reviews clean. So if you got put it on your website, put it, put your Google link, put the Zillow link, put a realtor.com link, and link them directly to your page or, on your website. So that's the way I would do it. Put that in your email signature line as well. When you send out emails thanking people for their business, have those links in there and let them go click on that.
Hey, Gary, they have a chat of, can you repost Google reviews in other places?
You cannot do that. You can't do that automatically. Well, let me rephrase. There is a plugin. If you have a WordPress website, there is a plugin that you can install, which is what this one is. And it displays the reviews right here on my website. So it automatically pulls them into there. You can grab them if you don't have this option and you want to post them someplace. There's no reason you can't grab and post them on something else, but you can't post from anybody else into Google reviews. So if you've got a bunch of reviews on Zillow, you cannot copy those over into Google. Just won't let you do it. So, but you can, it depends, like I said, if you've got a WordPress website, you can integrate. Some other websites might be able to do that as well, but it does require a particular programming and some, connecting to Google and a little bit of creating what's called an API or a programming key to be able to do that. So the answer is maybe, depending on your website or depending where you want to put it. Good question. Very good question.
They can reach out and check with you, right?
Yeah. Be more than happy to.
So real quick, I know that when I was going through this with you on my Google, I know where Jeanette said she had somebody set hers up and she wants to go in and make changes. But when we worked on mine, the most important thing was not to make changes or get in trouble with Google by making too many.
Right. You've got to be cautious with changing right now. Google has there was a thing on the website. I didn't pay attention if it's still there or not, but they're saying that right now during this time, they are working shorthanded, and so they may not address changes as well as quickly. But there are certain things you don't want to do. You don't want to go in and be changing your service area every time you turn around, or be changing your business name, or be changing anything else other than posts. Posts are the one thing you can do with frequency that won't bother Google. But anything else that they just are adding photos, you can still add photos as well. But anything else could trigger an issue, and you do not want to get your page suspended. I have a client that he does duck cleaning, and showed up really high in the Google Map listings and Google My Business listings. And then all of a sudden his business Google said it was suspended for something. And we never did figure out why, but it cost him dearly because his business pretty much was dried up because he wasn't showing up in the map listing anymore. So you want to make sure you don't do anything spammy. Don't put a whole bunch of keywords in there when you do your description. Don't put in realtor, real estate, Tucson realtor, Tucson real estate agent, selling homes in Tucson. Don't get spammy. make the text in your info box and all of those places, your services box, make them read like they would read for an individual. So important piece to do. Um, you don't want to, let's say you create, let's say you've been working in Oro Valley, but you also want to do some work in Vail. And so you create another listing in Vail, and you just change the name a little bit and put a different place, but you try to use the same, everything the same. That's, duplicate locations or, multiple locations can be an issue. So you need to be cautious about that. Um, so you want to just not try to make, once you get this set, and like I said earlier, you don't need to make any changes once this is set. It aggravates me, these spam artists that call up and scammers and say, hey, we can optimize your Google listing and let us help you. And it's only $99 a month. This is free. And it's not rocket science. You can do this on your own. You don't need anybody to help you. So, don't fall for those. And if you did, make sure you get control of that and have them give you all the control back, so you're safe.
Well, I believe even on the reviews, Gary, like if they're emailing out, if they get too many in 1 week, that causes a problem too,
Right.
correct?
Yep. You're right. The other thing with the reviews is, so you get your Google page up and you go, hey, I'm going to send out to everybody I know. I'm going to email everybody with my Google reviews and, ask for reviews. And then you get 20 back and you don't get any more for the next, for the next 6 or 8 months. Well, Google's going to look at that and go, hey, wait a minute. You must have asked for those reviews and somehow or other you forced that. So we're not going to, that's not right. These reviews should come natural. So if you're going to send out and ask for reviews, it should be in the normal course of business. Number one, when you close a transaction, follow up. How did I do? Let me know. I would love to have a listing. I would love to have a review. So, but if that's not the case, then, if you didn't follow up, then you can go back now and say, hey, send me, I'd love to have a review. Send out maybe 8 or 10 at a time. And then next week, send out another 8 or 10 so that you're getting those on a consistent basis and it grows your listings much more effectively. But don't try to get a whole bunch at one time. So that's important. And then, so any other questions? So lastly, one other thing, you can manage, there is an app. There is an app for Google My Business where you can manage that. You can also get messaging directly to your phone. You can set up messaging through the Google My Business listing. And there's a tab for messaging there. So that's something else that you want to think about. If you want people to, send you text messages and if that's your preferred method of communication. So look at those and set that up. And it's, like I said, it's a simple app to download. Any other questions? Anybody have anything else they want to add? I'm going to go ahead and pop another little poll up here. I have a couple of questions to ask you about for things that are upcoming. So here's another little poll for you to take a moment and answer. In the meantime, if you need any help from me, here's my direct information. There's my phone number, my websites, my email address, not just on what necessarily today's topic, but you can also, if you got questions about a website or search engine optimization, social media, any of those topics, I'm more than happy to work with you on that. A lot of times I can, fix things pretty quick. Sometimes we might need a little more, but I'd be happy to work with any of you on anything you might need. The replay of the webinar is going to be available probably about 4 to 5, somewhere in that range. It'll be at ninjamarketingdojo.com/realtor training. That's where you'll find all of the past replays. They're there all the time, so you can go back and watch them as often as you want. And again, if you have questions after you watch one, feel free to let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. You can reach me any way you want. Next week, And part of the reason for the question for next week is we're going to be talking about graphic design programs and creating content for your websites, for your social media platforms, because content is so critical. And we're going to talk about Canva, and we're going to, for a lot. So we're going to talk about Canva as one of the tools we use. And I see a few of you are using Canva, so that's great. You might be able to have stuff. I'm also going to be talking about some other things, about some other programs, Easel, and some other, there may be a video platform or two that I use there. So kind of give you some ideas on what you can use. So tune in for that one. It'll be next Tuesday, same time, same channel.
Hey, Gary.
How do you get?
She doesn't quite get how to
Yeah.
ask for those testimonial referrals on there.
Okay. So the easiest way is to ask them put it in your email when you follow up with somebody, and just put a thing in there that says, how I value working with you, and how did I do? If I did a good job, would you mind leaving me a review? And have a link on there for Gmail, for Google, and for say Gmail users, click this link, or you can register. You can review me at Zillow or Truly or Realtor.com or whatever it might be. So that's the reason that's how you do that. You want to ask for it. You have it on your website, have it on your email signature. If you do a newsletter, send it out in newsletter format. Wherever you can promote that review is great. If it's just strictly verbal, when you finish up and hand them the keys, hey, if I did a good job, go to my website and click the review link right there on the website. You just have to make it easy, because if you don't, they won't do it. Are we able to tune to this link and review? On your site, or on mine, you can too as well. So by the way, if you want to, I'm more than happy for you to leave a review for me too on that link. But are you talking about your review, Susan? Are you talking about your link, or what link are you referring to? Just so I'll answer you, make sure I answered you right. Any other questions? Oops, I see one more come in here. If we have printed testimonials, can we upload these to these sites? You cannot upload them to Google. Google has to be be generated by the user, by an email address. So you can put them into, like I said, your website. You can put them into, I don't know about Zillow and Trulia and those things. But you can put them, you can't put them in Google. So any other questions? And if you do have a website, you really should have a testimonial section on there. I mean, if you're driving people to your website, why wouldn't you have a place to testimonials? Why wouldn't you have a spot there? That just makes total sense. Make it where people can see what you do, and they trust you a whole lot better that way. All right. Any other questions?
I think we're caught up, and your link will be available after 4:30. So
yep,
we're running a little late, so you'll be able to have it up by then, depending on how long it takes to download.
Yeah, it'll render out, and it'll probably be 4:30, somewhere in that range, but that's where it'll be. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you coming. If you have any questions that come to mind afterwards, you got my contact information. Feel free to reach out, and I'll get back to you. So we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
See you later.